Every month on the channel, I put out a video talking about the top 10 games or top best games coming out for the month that is upcoming. And in pretty much every one of those videos, I always start off by saying, hey, listen, this year, 2023, has the potential to be the best, if not one of the top three gaming years that we've ever had, right? Like everyone refers back to, 2011, 2007 with games like Mass Effect, BioShock, Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, and games like that. And 2023 is no slouch itself. So we're already halfway through and we already have so many games ranking on a Metacritic scale of over a 90 or a high 80. And I just wanted to take the time, as we are halfway through the year to try and sit down and see what games do we think will potentially be game of the year for the year? There are some games that haven't come out yet, so we will only be talking about games that have come out up through the month of June, but then we will also look ahead to see what else is coming out for the end of the year. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe down below, leave a like, check all the links in the description, and let's get into it right after this. So I wanted to start this list by looking at the highest rated games for the year so far, and we're going to start with none other than The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with a 96 on Metacritic. Now, before Tears of the Kingdom came out, there was a lot of hush-hush around it. Please check out my review on this video game, because I was one of the disbelievers, I guess, at first. I wasn't a big fan of Breath of the Wild, but then when I started to see what Tears of the Kingdom was really reinventing for the most part, it made Breath of the Wild just look like a tech demo. It just made Breath of the Wild, which many people consider the best video game of all time, has a 97 on Metacritic. It just made it look like elementary for the most part. Tears of the Kingdom is so expansive. It had one of the biggest launches ever for a video game, and people are still putting in hundreds of hours without even finishing the game. So Tears of the Kingdom is kind of just the front runner right now for game of the year in 2023. Now, after Tears of the Kingdom, we have a few remakes / remasters. So we do have Metroid Prime Remaster that did get a 94 Metacritic, and some people may not consider this game of the year because it is kind of just a retooling or a touch-up on a previous game that did come out on the GameCube. So there wasn't any real major changes, maybe just some quality of life changes, but either way, for a few people, Metroid Prime Remaster, it is a classic game already. A lot of people are trying to buy it physically. I did get a physical copy and I'm enjoying it so far. So Metroid Prime Remaster will probably be on a lot of people's Game of the Year list at the end of the year. After that, we do have another remaster / remake with Resident Evil 4 Remake that did get a 93. So the beginning of the year was pretty heavy with a lot of these really high quality remasters and remakes. Resident Evil 4 again is one of those games that kind of redefined a genre with the horror survivor game and added some more action elements to it. So Resident Evil 4 coming out over 15 years after the original did get a lot of people excited during the beginning of the year, and will definitely be on a lot of people's list for their favorites by the time that 2023 is all said and done. Now, normally you don't see fighting games or racing games making Game of the Year lists. We did see Forza Horizon 5 make a lot of people's Game of the Year list back in 2021, but fighting games don't normally make it. But we did get Street Fighter 6 come out in June, and it did get a 92 on Metacritic. Street Fighter, which was the last entry, was stuck on the PlayStation 4 exclusively, which a lot of people didn't like. There was a lot of complaints about it not having a lot of characters to choose from, the roster being really bare bones, not a lot of modes and things like that. But Street Fighter 6 has come out swinging with a lot of high reviews from a lot of different publications. A lot of people getting back into Street Fighter, new characters, new accessibility for people that aren't that good at the hardcore fighting games. But yeah, the Street Fighter 6, do I think it'll make a lot of people's Game of the Year list? Maybe not, but maybe some smaller publications or some content creators will actually have it on their list. Next up, we got another release from June with Diablo 4. So Diablo had been pretty much non-existent for the last, I think, over a decade, since Diablo 3, and Diablo 4 came out with 91 as an overall Metacritic rating. I'm not really into these kind of games, but Diablo 4, a lot of people have been playing it since the beta, the opening weekend, early access, all that, and people have been playing it non-stop. I've seen some people just literally it's all they've been doing since it came out. So Diablo 4 now technically going to be a Microsoft property with them winning that Activision Blizzard case against the FTC. We'll definitely see some more popularity going on once it hits Game Pass. Next up, we also got Dead Space, the remake. So again, back to the remakes, fixing some quality of life issues as well as really overhauling the graphics, the frame rate, the coloring and shading, even certain weapons, the HUD, things like that. Dead Space was one of those games that a lot of people haven't really been talking about recently, but it is a pretty good game. I remember on the Xbox 360, it was pretty popular back then, but it did score an 89 on Metacritic, and a lot of people seem to be pretty happy with it. And then after that, we had the Shadow drop from Tango Gameworks with Hi-Fi Rush. Now this, I'm telling you guys already, this will definitely be on my top 10 for the year 2023. Hi-Fi Rush was such a pleasant surprise, just shadow dropping right there in Game Pass that day of the developer direct back in January. So much fun. It has cool style to it. It has like a unique take on a hack and slash action game by adding rhythm into it, different upgrades. There is DLC coming out for the game as well with new modes and different items and characters and things like that. So Hi-Fi Rush definitely deserves a lot of people's consideration for Game of the Year, but it just naturally probably cannot get it just with the way the rating system has been. Then we got a Devices game with Final Fantasy 16 scoring an 87 on Metacritic. Now, a lot of fans of Final Fantasy are, hardcore fans that are more used to the, turn-based or, ATB style of Final Fantasy, and people that like Final Fantasy 7 Remake and things like that. They are not really, running with this, and to me an 87 is a very good game. I guess for Final Fantasy standards people want it a lot higher, but I did just start playing this. I did get the Steelbook edition from Best Buy, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's not as expansive and crazy as something like Tears of the Kingdom, of course, but I'm enjoying it. The battle system's pretty easy to pick up, the story's pretty interesting and things like that. The graphics look really great. So Final Fantasy 16, while it may not win Game of the Year, definitely should make a lot of people's lists for top games of the year. Then next up with an 86 on Metacritic, we have Octopath Traveler 2. Now this game is the sequel to the original Octopath Traveler, which is Square Enix's HD 2D game. This is pretty much where that style started with Octopath Traveler, Live Alive, games like that. And you take control of 8 different stories for the game, nice turn-based RPG, great environments and things like that. Now I haven't started this game yet as it is a pretty lengthy one, but I do think a lot of people who are fans of Nintendo Switch and that pickup JRPG style, even though this did also come out on the PS5, a lot of people did buy it on Switch. I do think a lot of people that are into those type of games will have it on their end of the year list. Then next up we got Jedi Survivor. Now Jedi Fallen Order was pretty good. I'm almost done with it. It is on Game Pass, but Jedi Survivor, even though it did come out to a lot of technical issues, especially on the PC when it came out, it did score an 85 on Metacritic. Cal Kestis is a very likable and interesting character in the Star Wars franchise. Even though I'm not big into Star Wars, I did enjoy, like I said, my time so far with Jedi Fallen Order, and I do look to want to continue that with Jedi Survivor later on. And an 85 again is pretty solid. I feel like nowadays people want if the game doesn't get a 95 or higher, it's not that good, but 85 is pretty solid. And most of the time when you look at these reviews, you'll get a lot of 9s, 9.5s, even 8.5s, and then maybe a couple people give it a 7 or something. That'll bring the score down. So Jedi Survivor, definitely worth picking up. I'm sure it'll have a nice decent sale. I've seen it on sale for around $45-50 even sometimes here or there. So maybe around Black Friday, if you're looking for it, you could pick it up. And then last but not least, we do have Hogwarts Legacy, also scoring an 85 on Metacritic. And this was a controversial game because we had the whole boycott issue, people, not wanting to support J.K. Rowling and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but when it comes to popular franchises like this, and when it comes to these boycotts and things like that, most gamers do not care about that kind of stuff. For better or worse, it doesn't affect sales. If anything, it made more people want to buy the game. We don't need to get into all that, but pretty much Hogwarts Legacy, I've seen A lot of people streaming it. It's selling incredibly well. It could possibly rival Tears of the Kingdom for best sold game this year, maybe be second place after Tears of the Kingdom. But Harry Potter franchise is just super popular. Hogwarts Legacy has been getting really good reviews. It streams well. It's just all over the internet. It was just that next water cooler game for the most part, and scoring an 85 definitely helps its case. All right, now before we end the video, I do want to talk about some of the future games that could make it to a lot of people's end of the year, best game of the year list. So we have Pikmin 4 coming out pretty soon. Actually, it'll be a week after this video is live. This was the only game we kind of knew that was coming from Nintendo after Tears of the Kingdom, but then after the Direct, we did hear about some more games coming out. But Pikmin games pretty much do score pretty well on Metacritic. They're normally around an 87 or above, some around that 90 or 91 rating. So Pikmin 4 will probably do pretty well. Then we have Sea of Stars, which I already backed on the Kickstarter or backer kit, whatever the website is called. So I will be getting a physical copy of it, but they will also send a digital copy because the physical copies will take a while to send out. But Sea of Stars is taking, cues from those old school Nintendo, Super Nintendo JRPGs like, Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger, and it's really interesting. If you haven't played the demo, definitely download it and give it a shot. It will also be on Game Pass, and the price for the digital version did get announced. It will be $35. So like I said, I already got the physical edition coming, but either way, definitely check it out. Support this studio so they can make more games, maybe a sequel or even better games afterwards. Then of course in September we have what is going to be a lot of people's game of the decade or game of the generation. That's going to be Starfield coming from Xbox, which is going to be, the big Skyrim in space, steal ships, start biomes on different planets, steal sandwiches. All of that's going to come out. This is just going to be a massive game that everybody's going to be playing for years to come. We also have Lies of P coming out, which is a Soulsborne, pretty much like Pinocchio story. The demo is live right now, so if you do want to try it out, it is coming out in September, but you can try out the demo. Then moving to October, we have Forza coming out, which is going to be, Xbox's pretty much big fall game. Starfield's going to be big, but then you have Forza as well. If you're into racing sims, this is for you. Then you have Spider-Man 2, which is going to be a lot of people's game of the year. Like, I already know that. So for Nintendo, you got Zelda. For Xbox, you got Starfield. And then for Sony, you got Spider-Man 2. And that's pretty much going to be the top 3 games we're going to see going around. To be honest, sequels don't really win Game of the Year unless they do something super crazy. Like Tears of the Kingdom completely reinvented Breath of the Wild. Starfield's going to be a super big, genre-defining game. Spider-Man 2 will be great, of course, but I just don't see it doing enough to win Game of the Year for most publications. Then next up on the Nintendo side, we do have Super Mario Wonder, which is going to be putting a completely different twist on the 2D Mario space. People have been waiting for it since, New Super Mario Brothers has been pretty much ran into the ground at this point. So Super Mario Wonder just looks like a new reinvention, wacky version of Mario, and a lot of people are excited for it, including myself. And then speaking of 2D reinventions, we have Sonic Superstars also coming out on the same day in October, which will have a 4-player co-op with Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy as well. And this game's looking very interesting. Of course, the success of Sonic Mania, but now you got this more retro / modern version of a Metro game. A classic Sonic. Everyone loves 2D Sonic, so everyone's looking forward to this one. And then also, we have a remake of Super Mario RPG. A lot of people were rumored to be thinking this game would be coming out, and I never played it on the Super Nintendo, so I'm pretty excited to try this one out. We also have Star Ocean 2 being remade in this new, it's different than HD 2D. It's like HD 2.5D, of course, by Square Enix, and Star Ocean 2 is considered the best in the franchise, so this game definitely looks interesting and I'm probably going to pick it up. We have the rumored Call of Duty game coming out in November. Of course, Xbox will own it by the time that game comes out, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Rumors that it will be Modern Warfare 3. It was going to be an expansion of Modern Warfare 2, but now they decided to make it its own game pretty much. And then last but not least, in the indie space, people are still holding out hope for Hollow Knight Silksong to make it before the year's over. So Hollow Knight, considered one of the best indie games, Metroidvanias of all time, and the Hollow Knight Silksong was actually announced last year to be coming to Game Pass, and we haven't seen it at all. So if it does drop this year, it'll definitely be on a lot of people's end of the year list, especially people that love the indie space. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Hollow Knight fan, but I'm happy for the people that will get to play it. And that pretty much wraps it up, guys. So those are the top rated games so far this year. 2023, like I said, has been a crazy year, and we still have so many more games to come, like Starfield, Lies of P, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder. It's just, this year is insane. And do I think it'll beat out 2007 for best gaming year of all time? I don't know, but it'll definitely be a close second. So we'll just have to wait and see how these games deliver, but it's definitely looking optimistic. And 2024 is also looking like it's going to be pretty bright, especially on the Xbox side and Nintendo if they do release that new generation Switch next year. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Which games are you looking most forward to for this year? What games have come out already that you're pretty much having as your game of the year, maybe even your favorite game of all time? If it's too early to say that, I'm not sure, but y'all let me know. Make sure you do like the video, subscribe if you have not already, share this with your friends, click the links in the description, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.